How are you? I'm good.
Don't forget to record, Mike.
Yep. Okay, it says we're out on YouTube. Let me just make sure we see it.
How you doing, Adam?
Hey, B, how you doing?
Good. And Mr. Chris, even though he's muted.
Maybe.
Okay, we're there on YouTube. Hitting record. Okay, we're recording. And we are good to go. Are you guys seeing that on the screen? No.
I got a blank screen.
I have our faces.
Yeah.
You want to do the pledge?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the screen share, Chris, and for some reason it's not working.
Ow.
There we go. Okay. Welcome everybody to the Town of Rochester Town Board regular meeting, May 7th. I would ask everyone to stand for the pledge to the flag or do the pledge to the flag at your leisure. And Adam, I'm going to ask you to lead. I think for everybody's sake, it's easier if we sort of say it quietly and let one person take the lead based on our last month's experience. So the flag is behind Adam's head there. He was kind enough to do that. So Adam, if you take the lead.
Be happy to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Adam. Okay, Kate, would you do the roll call, please?
Did we lose her?
Let me see if I have to unmute her. She might be muted. We lost her.
We lost her.
There she is. Coming back in. There you are, Kate. Okay. Can we hear you now, Kate?
Can you hear me?
Got you. We
All
lost you
right,
for a minute.
sorry. Councilwoman
Okay.
Allen. Councilwoman Hagen Depew.
Here.
Councilman Hewitt.
Here.
Councilman Paddock.
Here,
Supervisor Baden.
Here. Okay, our first order of business will be a public hearing for local law number 2. This is establishing best value procurement. I'm going to, actually, before I do that, I'm sorry, I need to just read this statement. Confirmed with the town's council that tonight's meeting has been convened in accordance with the governor's March 13, 2020 executive order 202.1, which suspends certain provisions of the open meetings law to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conference in accordance with the executive order. The public has been provided the ability to view tonight's meeting via YouTube, and a transcript will be provided at a later date. The town clerk has completed a roll call of the members, and there is a quorum present for this meeting. I've also confirmed with the town clerk that this meeting has been duly noticed. We have fulfilled our legal notice requirements by posting notice on the town clerk bulletin board and outside door, posting legal notice in the Shangam Journal, and posting notice on the town's website. So with that being said, our first order of business is local law number 2, and which reads as follows. Be it enacted by the town board of the town of Rochester, a local law as follows. Best value procurement. The article shall be known as the Town of Rochester Best Value Competitive Bidding Law. New York State General Municipal Law, Section 103(1) allows the town to authorize by local law the award of certain purchase contracts, including contracts for service work subject to competitive bidding under General Municipal Law, Section 103 on the basis of best value as defined in Section 163 of the New York State Finance Law or any state law superseding or amending said provision. The best value option may be used, for example, if it is more cost efficient over time to award the good or service to other than the lowest responsible bidder or offerer if factors such as lower cost of maintenance, durability, higher quality, and longer product life can be documented. The town may award purchase contracts after bidding, including contracts for services work, on the value of best value, as that term is defined in New York State Finance Law, Section 163. All awards based on the best value shall require town board approval. The provisions of this article apply to town purchase contracts, including contracts for services work involving an expenditure of more than $20,000.
Mike, would you make that 20,000, please, instead of 20.000?
Thank you. I will correct that.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. But excluding purchase contracts necessary for the completion of a public works contract pursuant to Article 8 of the New York Labor Law and any other contract that may in the future be excluded under state law from the best value option. If the dollar thresholds of New York General Municipal Law Section 103 are increased or decreased in the future by the state legislature, the dollar threshold set forth herein shall be deemed simultaneously amended to match the new general municipal law thresholds. President services procured and awarded on the basis of best value are those that the town board determines optimize quality, cost, and efficiency among responsive and responsible bidders or offerers. The determination shall be based on an objective analysis of clearly described and documented criteria as they apply to the rating of bids or offers. Where possible, such determination shall also be based upon and include a quantifiable analysis of the same. The criteria may include, but shall not be limited to, any or all of the following: cost of maintenance, proximity of the end use, if distance or response time is a significant term, durability, availability of replacement parts or maintenance contractors, longer product life, product performance criteria, and quality of craftsmanship. Whenever any contract is awarded on the basis of best value instead of lowest responsible bidder, the basis for determining best value shall be thoroughly and accurately documented. And this local law is incorporated by reference into the Town of Rochester procurement policy. Any inconsistent provisions of the town's procurement policy as adopted prior to the effective date of this article by resolution of the town board or as amended thereafter shall be deemed superseded by the provisions of this article. And this local law will take effect immediately upon filing in the office of the clerk of the town of Rochester and Secretary of State of New York and the New York State Commissioner of Tax and Finance. So that is our law. I'm going to open up. I have first a person at 626-4527. Your phone is open now, so if you'd like to speak on this, please do. If you could identify yourself. The person at 626-4527. Okay. Well, I'm hearing nothing. 626-4527. Are you on the line? Okay, I'm going to leave them unmuted perhaps they maybe just stepped away from their phone for a moment. So, okay. Kate, did you receive any comments from the public by email? Let me unmute you, sorry.
I have not.
Okay. Do any board members want to speak on the local law at this time?
My thought was, this would apply to someone, just say we were doing waters and sewers. We got a lower bid from someone, but there was a bit higher bid with someone with more practice doing this application. They would then be eligible for this position based on this new law, correct?
Correct. What we would do is we would have to advertise the criteria. It has to be a percentage score. So say, for example, we say, and these are just an example, your price is 70% of your bid score, and your experience in doing this project is 30% of your bid score. I mean, that's a very basic example. And then we would establish in the request for bids, who would do the review. In this case, it probably would be each board member would do it independently. In the case where if we had something that was involving the clerk's office, maybe we would ask Kate to review it as well. Then we would figure out, each person would give them like a 0 to 70 score for the one and a 0 to 30 score for the other. And we would combine the scores of each individual person that scored it to come out with the answer of who won the bid.
Would we ask for prior job,
We would set that criteria with each
prior
bid.
jobs?
That could be one criteria. Like, for example, when I was on the school board, we use this often. We would ask them to provide 3 former similar type jobs that they had done with references. And that factored into the decision, because we're bound by the law to accept lowest responsible bid, but the word responsible is not defined anywhere. It's not just lowest cost, but if you want to incorporate other criteria into it, you have to go to this best value system, and it has to be done by local law in order to allow us to be able to do it.
Thank you, Mike.
So it's kind of a long explanation, but it gives us a little more flexibility in service to be able to go with somebody maybe who's more experienced, like you said, maybe somebody who is, we could also set a criteria for distance. We could set an extra bonus for local contractors.
Okay,
Whereas the local contractor would maybe be able to get they may not have the ability to do the same price, but if we're keeping the money in the community, we're doing a better service. So that's another example. Okay.
thank you.
I do see we have the 626-4527 person still here on the line. Did you wish to speak? Okay. So I don't know if you all heard me before with Mary Lou. What I'd like to do is we're going to move forward and convene the rest of the meeting for a short period of time, and I'll leave this public hearing open for a brief period of time, maybe 5 minutes, if anybody else calls in, so they have the ability to speak. And then in a couple minutes, we'll close the public hearing, and then we can continue on. So the next is on the agenda is public comment report. Kate, were there any?
I have not received any public comments.
Okay, let me get back to the agenda meeting slide. Sorry, I apparently lost my slide that I was trying to get to. Here we go. Next is the attorney for the town report. Mary Lou, do you have anything to report?
Just a little bit. We got a notice of claim in. Somebody got hurt actually at Gerhongson School, so that's been sent over to the insurance company by the supervisor. It doesn't look like it has anything to do with us, but as I always tell you, those courts are open Monday. Not really, but they used to be open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So that's come in. It's been given to the insurance company. So hopefully they'll just be able to get that dismissed. The other thing is on the attempt for collections for modern leasing, Rich Miller is still compiling information for me. He got a few documents to me this week, but he said he has many, many more. So once I get all that in, I'll see what, if anything, we can do.
Great.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. Moving on to the COVID report. Oh, hang on a minute. We have somebody here on the line. Let me get them in case they're here for the public hearing. Okay, the person that just called in on 414-899-4311, were you here for the public hearing?
Yes, Mike
Okay.
Zorian.
Hi, Zorian. How are you?
All right, how are you?
Good. We have already introduced it, but I'll let you go ahead and make your comments if you'd like.
You might want to just say
No,
you're reopening
no,
now, Mike.
I'm just listening. I don't have.
Oh,
any
you're just
comments.
listening to the board meeting. You're not for the public
Yeah.
hearing. Okay,
No.
I'm going to go ahead and mute you then again. Thank you very much for being
Thank
here.
Okay.
Okay, then moving on to the COVID-19 report. Sorry, I'm trying to get a screen share up and here it is. Okay, the COVID-19 report. I wanted to give everybody first a briefing on the Project Resilience Program, the meals program, which is put in place by the county executive. We are in our, I think it's our 7th week. Kate, you may remember better than I do. It's been a while.
It has.
I especially want to say thank you to Kate, who has been there every single day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we are up to about 265 meals a day we deliver. We have had great assistance from the Highway Department, from Highway Superintendent Fry, with both manpower and vehicles. We have had great assistance from the Recreation Department. Ashley, Rita, and Sheila have been assisting. Aaron was able to help us out a couple days, and it will sadly be coming to an end as we know it on phase 1 as of a week from tomorrow, a week from Saturday. At that time, they are transitioning to what they're calling phase 2, which is better delivery of grocery boxes as opposed to meals. They will still deliver meals to anybody who has no other means to provide meals for themselves. They're also trying to identify people like seniors who can be shifted to the Office of the Aging, where they can get a 5-day frozen meal supply per week. They already are doing that, the Office of the Aging. the Project Resilience was put together so quickly that there wasn't time to try to vet who could go to what program, so they just got it up and running. We've been supported by a number of local restaurants. Stonehouse Tavern, Hot Shots, Cranky Frankie's are our three somewhat regular providers. Elm Rock Inn has provided, Benny's has provided, Lydia's, The Roost, High Falls Cafe, High Falls Kitchenette, and Bodacious Bagels. I think I've now named everybody that's provided meals at one time or another for the town of Rochester. So great success, very well received, and the people really look forward to it. Every time we knock on their door and leave the meals, we get a thank you through the closed door. We sometimes get signs taped to the door that says thank you for the meals. It's been a really great pleasure being involved with this. Moving on to a not as pleasant topic, I wanted to talk to you about something that the county brought to our attention just this past week. It's up on your screen right now. It's called a shared work program. As you know, we've been maintaining 50% of employees for the employees that are deemed non-essential. And but we are still paying 100% of salary. What this will allow us to do, if we choose to apply, is for those people that we are that are only working part hours and being paid full, we can go onto this shared work program. What it will do is the town only pays them for the hours they work. They're then paid by the state through the unemployment department, but they are not unemployed. It's a program that is just being done through the state, through the unemployment office. They would be paid the difference. What this does is gives the town a little bit of relief on that cost. We've moved our highway guys back to full-time as they are now deemed essential workers again, and our buildings and grounds are full-time. In reality, we'd probably only have about 6 to 8 people that this could apply to. I know the town of Marbletown is doing it. I think they have more employees than we have. I wanted to throw it out, and I apologize. It's very short notice, and I haven't had much time to find out more about it. I definitely want to, but I wanted to just get some feedback from the board members, what you guys all thought about. There also is a state website you can go to. It's right at the top of this document that I have here, the dol.ny.gov shared work program, and it tells you a lot more about it. This sheet I have up is a fact sheet. I think I emailed this to you all. That was put together by the county to get us the information. So with that being said, let me just sort of ask what people think about it.
Mike, my question is this: would it apply to the court workers at this time?
Well, unfortunately, it couldn't apply to the court workers because you're restricted. They have to be able to do, I think it's 20 to 60% of their hours. The other option we have for the court workers is we could furlough them at the moment and they would go on unemployment. They would not lose their any standing in terms of their job. It would be a furlough, not a layoff. They could go on to unemployment and get, we would be charged less. You know, we would not be charged their full salary. We pay a percentage, and then with the $600 a week stimulus program that is into the summer, that would make up the difference. And they would probably, to be honest, get about what they're making now, if not even a little bit more than what they're making right now. And
How would that affect? How
Excuse me, go
would that affect their time in service?
I don't think those weeks would count in terms of toward retirement. I know
Exactly.
only one of the two is in the retirement program. One is not signed up for the
Okay.
retirement program by choice.
Okay,
or has never signed up, put it that way. I don't know. So that is the downside of it. They would lose that time toward their retirement and would potentially have to work longer for however many weeks they were laid off. I don't know if it's cost, for two people, we would probably save, I mean, I could run the numbers and see what we would save. We would probably save in the neighborhood of $500 or $600 a week in our costs, with those two employees, because we would only pay a portion of their unemployment, not all of it.
they are budgeted for.
They are budgeted for. I mean, it's not through no fault of theirs. The courts are 100% closed and
Correct.
they're not allowed to even go in the building. As opposed to, we have a little more leeway on the other employees where we're doing, basically all our clerks are doing halftime. Kate's
Right.
two deputies are doing halftime. The assessor's aide is doing halftime. The code enforcement aide is doing halftime. And then we have our 3 recreation workers who would probably also could fall into this. They are doing partial hours every week. They've been helping us with the meals, and I've been including that in their hours as their work time, because it's certainly a valuable thing that they're doing. So,
But Mike, this is exactly why the program exists, right? Is to relieve us a little, even if it's a little bit
sure.
financially. I know we're
Well, that's
not
the
bringing-
shared work. The unemployment is a different program, and so the 2 court clerks would not qualify for the shared work program,
Right.
because they're not working any hours. You have to still work some hours to do the shared work program.
Yep. But the unemployment, just like somebody who works at a restaurant or works at any other non-essential business, that again, that's why the unemployment exists, is
Right.
to again, give them dollars when there's no work to do, so the employer doesn't have to be affected by it. And I know what you said about it being budgeted, but again, there's a concern we're not going to be bringing in the same revenue we thought we were going to bring in this year either.
Exactly. I just scrolled ahead to the second page. It says for the shared work, you must reduce hours, corresponding wages 20 to 60%. So that's the minimum and the maximum number of hours of percentages you can scale back. And it also has to be across a department or across a bargaining unit, but you can do more than one department. Like we could do the recreation department, we could do the town clerk's department, we could do the assessor's department. And I only use those words, department, because that's how they would be classified by this program.
What happens to their medical payments?
We must continue at 100%. So anybody who is on medical would still continue to get paid that 100%. What I don't know is how we would address the percentage that they pay. That probably would, because they would still be getting a paycheck from us every week. So that percentage they pay would probably still come out of, they pay a percentage of their medical insurance. It's not based on their income, it's based on the cost of the program. So that would be a payroll deduction that would come out of their check.
Yeah.
In reality, they would not lose out anything. The only difference is they, as you said, anybody in the retirement program would not get credit for those hours toward retirement. They would only get credit for the hours they worked, not the ones they didn't work.
I would just want to make sure too that I think that I support further investigation. If the program runs out of money before we would want it to, I would just want to make sure that we then would go back to paying.
The thing is too, we're allowed to end it at any time on our own choice. It's not once we go into it, we're mandated to follow somebody else's guidelines. We can opt in and opt out anytime, as long as we do it for an entire department. We could even say we move the clerk's office back to full-time staffing, we could opt them out of it and continue the others. We don't have to it's not an all or nothing thing.
Yeah, and I would just want to make it clear to employees that we're looking at this as a measure to relieve our budget, but if for some reason it were to end or the funding were to run out for this program, which could happen, that we would still support them and we would go back to paying them as per our, what we had decided at our last.
I would agree with that, absolutely. And that's what we've continued to do. And I can be, you know, most municipalities, if not all, and I don't know that all have, but I think almost all have continued to pay their staffs 100% of their salary, even though they've been cut back for non-essential workers or because of the social distancing rule that we were mandated to cut back to 50%. So,
Like with shared work, does the state provide a list of tasks per department? How do we keep them busy?
how do we keep what, Chris? I'm sorry.
How do we keep the shared workers busy? Does the state give us tasks? Or
Oh,
something?
no, they still have their regular job. I mean, it's like right now, the clerk's office, they are very busy, but they're each working, instead of 2 people working 35 hours a week, we have each of them working 17. One's working 17 and one's working 18 hours. So they would continue doing that, the 17 and 18. What would happen is the hours that they're not working, currently they're being paid by us, they would be paid by the state.
Got it.
Yeah, and the same with the assessor's office. They're currently working, they still have to continue working. What Marbletown is doing is they're going to 40% reduction, or 40% work, 60% reduction, meaning that their employees are their 35-hour-a-week employees are going to work 14 hours. So they're probably going to work 2 days on and 3 days off, is my guess. This came about a little too late, unfortunately. We were doing a 2-day on, 2-day off for our highway guys, and it would have been great if we could have got it back then, but it wasn't happening. So,
Mike, can we have Kate's opinion on this? Because she's with
Absolutely.
us. Kate, how do you feel about this for your office?
I'm okay with it. This is gonna be a very busy month because it's last month for tax collection. So I don't know how it would affect, because I probably will need both girls more hours, about 2 weeks this month to finish out tax time.
yeah, I'm
Other
not sure
than
if we're
that-
allowed to do that yet, though, unfortunately. We may not be allowed to. We still have to be at the 50% reduction, I think.
Well, they might not have to, they don't have to work the same time. They just
Oh,
might have to put
okay.
in more hours.
You could put in different hours. You could change your
Yeah.
schedule.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay
Mhm.
with that for sure.
And it would only be probably the last 2 weeks of May, or the last week in May, first week in June. Because we have to close out our books. That usually is 3 full-time people. So,
Okay. What I'll do, and like I said, this just came to me on late Tuesday, and I have not really had a chance to get a lot of more information about it. I'll follow up, and if I feel it's warranted, and I'll send you you all an email with the answers that I get. If we feel it's warranted, we can always call a special meeting and not wait till next month to put this into practice, because by next month, who knows where we'll be. We may all be back to work, and it may not even matter. So I just wanted to bring it to you for discussion. It's a way to save, I would estimate we probably save 12,000 a month, maybe 10, 12,000 at a payroll, maybe probably 3,000 a week. It's a
That's a
start.
tidy sum. Adam's right, you know?
Yeah. It's amazing how fast it adds up, 300 or 400 for this employee and 300 or 400 for this employee times 8 employees. You're up to 3,000 a week. So, okay, I won't continue on any more about that. Let's go to the supervisor's report. I just got to change my screen here.
Mike, before you do that, are you going back to the public hearing? You
Ah,
said 5
good
minutes.
point. Yes, thank you, Mary Lou. I think we've left it open long enough, so I'd ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Mary Lou, let me ask you this question. The county planning board started just asking for no's and abstains rather than doing a roll call. Is that, or should we just do a roll call? There's only 5 of us.
Yeah.
The county has 25. That's
Right.
why we
I,
just did
I
that.
would do roll call just so we have it on the transcript.
Okay. So Kate, if you do a roll call, please.
Councilwoman Anowen,
I,
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, the public hearing is closed. Next, going to the supervisor's report. Oh, I apologize. One other thing I wanted to bring up in the COVID report, 2020 campground permits. And I want to clarify, this is campgrounds that are travel trailers, tents, that kind of thing, not summer camps. The county executives, the health department posted this effective as of 5/1/2020 until further notice. These rules have to be posted on the property. I have asked our code enforcement officer to follow up and make sure that that is indeed being done. It's a very lengthy list, so I won't go through them all. But I have shared this with all of you, I believe. Did I email it to everybody? Okay, thank you,
Yes.
Erin.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. That those are the new rules for campgrounds. And that is like the Rondout Valley campground, the RV campground, that for those types of campgrounds. Now moving on to supervisor's report. Too many screens open, apologies. So the report, our monthly audit report is filed with the town clerk. April 2020 receipts received from the town clerk were $31,420.44. I'm gonna skip the AUD for a moment and just do the announcement of the payments, and I'll go back to the AUD. Abstract 16, the general fund was paid out $13,709. What that was for the board members and for the public, that was our December court billing from the state to us for their percentage of the fines that were levied in December. They were behind on their billing, and we did not receive the bill until the end of March or even early April. So that is why that bill is carried over to this year. Abstract 4, which is our April bills, general fund, $47,774.17. Highway fund, $40,208.31. Street lighting fund, $400.22. And the escrow fund, which was for our consultants that the applicants of the planning board or ZBA paid directly, was $1,065. Kate, do you want to go ahead and do your tax collector report as well?
Sure. The month of April, we collected 120,233.47. Of that, the base amount was 116,905.31. Penalty was 3,328.16. All unpaids went out on April 30th. And we have 1.29 million left to collect, which I believe we will definitely be under the 1 million cap that gets turned over to the county, which is average. So I don't see there being a major difference this year from the past with tax collection. So that's a good thing. People are still paying their taxes.
Right, and the tax account, the tax bill to the town was, and to the school, fire districts was satisfied 100%. So the amount we're collecting now is toward county.
Correct.
So thank you for
Correct.
that.
Yep.
Okay, now I'll backtrack to the AUD. My apologies, I was not able to get this to you to see and vote on prior. It was due April 30th. We had a somewhat unofficial extension beyond that. What we were all told is they're not allowed. It's a law, the April 30th. They would have to amend the law to change the date. But they did say that there would be no penalties for anybody who was late. Our accountant got it done for us on the 29th of April. I reviewed it. He made a couple minor changes of some errors that I had caught. A few things were included in wrong funds. We corrected those and it was filed. I did provide all of you with a copy of it. I have it here on my screen if you want to go through anything in particular. The good news, we spent less money than we took in. We increased the fund balance. A major part of that increase, I suspect, was the $112,000 payment that we received from the solar farm. We were about a slightly over 100,000 over our expected revenue. We also underspent what we had budgeted, so great job to everybody. On the highway side, we were under budget, but we did spend a little bit more than expected. We had budgeted 140,000, I believe, or 150. I can't remember what it was, from fund balance to offset the two band payments. You might remember that is a result of, for 2 years running back about 3 years ago and 2 years ago, it was 16 and 17. Or 17 and 18 budgets. The expenses were not budgeted, but the revenues from CHIPS were. So we were out of budget by probably about $500,000 between those 2 years. We did our best to sort of correct it in-house as best we could, but we did have to take out two bands that we are paying off aggressively to try to pay them off in 5 years. We did get the money back from CHIPS, so now it's a matter of sort of rolling it over from year to year, but for a year or two, we were out of sync. We should, moving forward, be much better. And Jeff is doing a great job continuing monitoring that. I did want to share with you our financial status. As many of you know, I've been keeping a graph spreadsheet, and I updated it with the new numbers, and I'd like to just share that with you. One moment here. Okay, sorry about that. Took so long. This is our combined general and highway fund. What the legend is the years at the bottom. This is from dating back to 2003. This is our combined balance of fund balance. You will see we sit combined fund balance of about $1.5 million on a $4 million budget. The comptroller's office recommends that you have approximately 3 months worth of cash on hand, which would equate to 25%. So we are a little bit over in what where we'd like to be. However, we've also talked a lot about a lot of expenditures that have been left for infrastructure that haven't been dealt with. So before we put that back into taxes, I think we should have a real good discussion before next year's budget time about how we handle that, whether we move some of that back into taxes, tax relief, or whether we put some of it into a capital project fund, or what we do. There's only about $20,000 in the capital project fund right now. You can't do very much with $20,000. The good news, the black line is the town taxes. If you look from 2003 to 2020, it's a pretty straight line. They have gone up and down very little. As a matter of fact, the general fund taxes are, the amount collected is less than what was collected in 2003. So 18 years later, we have a reduction in what's being collected in taxes. We do continue to be the lowest town tax jurisdiction in Ulster County. The good news is we were within budget. The blue line was our projected expenses. The darker blue line, the blue up and down line, the blue line here, I don't know if you can see my cursor. That's our actual expenditures. The yellow line is our expected revenue. Our revenue was right where we thought it would be. Our expenditures were a little bit less. Breaking that down further, this is our general fund. You can see the tax from 2014, when we were almost broke. We have now raised our general fund. Our revenues exceeded what we planned on getting. That was the reason our revenues exceeded it, is we did better in sales tax and better in mortgage tax than we anticipated. And again, our revenues, our expenses were considerably under what was expended. This area here is really what we're sort of paying for. There was a period of time where the expenditures, the revenues were not realistic, the expenditures were maxed out, and that gap right there caused why that fund balance dropped so much. Highway, very similar, except their gap has been much closer. Their revenues and expenditures have been very close, except the number of years they were under budgeted on both revenue and expenditures. We're now back to much more realistic numbers. Why the 2019 big jump was there was we budgeted a significant amount for the Boyce Mill Bridge. We did not do in 19. We put it in the general, the highway fund budget, not under a capital projects budget. I've carried that over for future into a capital projects budget. If we ever are, and we will have to very soon, Jeff can confirm that, replace that bridge, we will have to take out a loan for that. That will be a significant hit in 1 year, and there's no way we'd be able to pay that off in 1 year. Hang on, we lost B. Let me get her back. Okay, B, you're back. Thank you. So does anybody have any questions on those charts? As you can see, like I said, the highway fund balance dropped slightly, but back in 2015, we were at negative. We were, I believe, $170,000 in the red back in 2015. So in 4 years, we've done a really good job of bringing that back up.
It looks really nice work.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
This reflects the money that somewhere had been set aside for something to do with cable also, right? Did that go into fund balance?
Not yet. We're about to do a resolution tonight.
Yeah,
it was set aside in the grant fund, which is not at all where it should have been set aside to. And I'll be honest, until the accountant asked me about a question about it this year, I had no idea that money even existed until I asked Shirley, and she said, yes, it's in the grant fund, which I didn't. I thought the only money in the grant fund was the JCAP money. I found out that there was $105,000 earmarked in there, and we're going to talk about that later on with a resolution tonight.
Thank you.
So with that being said, I'm going to ask you guys for a resolution. It's kind of a memorializing resolution at this point. Are you seeing the AUD resolution on the screen now?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I had to turn it back on. So I'm asking for a resolution that we accept for the fiscal year 12/31/2019 as prepared on behalf of the town of Rochester by Sickler, Torch, Allen, Churchill CPAs. It was e-filed on May 1st on behalf of the town supervisor to the state, New York Office of State Controller, Division of Local Government and School Accountability. So I'd ask for that motion.
I'll make the motion.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay. If as you look through that AUD, especially for the new board members, if you have any questions about it, feel free to shoot me an email, call me, I can explain it. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's pretty straightforward. All in favor? Actually,
Aye.
I'm sorry, roll call. Sorry. Where's the head?
Councilwoman Allen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much, and I thank them for the quick turnaround of how fast they put it together, especially since April is also personal tax time, but I have a feeling they got a little bit of a reprieve on that this year. Next, we're gonna go to the supervisor's update and correspondence report. I'm just gonna jump back slides here. First, we got a letter from Department of Public Works, and Jeff, are you, is your mic unmuted or do I have to unmute you? Let me unmute him. Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep.
Yes, I am.
If you want to just give us a quick update on Boyce Mill Road Bridge is being closed for deck replacement, and it's a county bridge. It's not our bridge, but Jeff, if you want to give a quick update on that.
Yeah, the Boodle Hole Bridge about 3 weeks ago was inspected by New York State DOT, and which is owned by the county, thank goodness, and it received a red flag. So what happened in turn was that bridge was originally a 30-ton bridge. In lieu of having to close the bridge immediately, the county was allowed to knock it down to a 3-ton weight limit bridge. But starting on May 13th, the bridge will be closed for approximately 4 to 6 weeks so they can replace the cross members that hold the beams in place and to install a new deck. I was quite surprised when I went underneath there with a friend of mine who was the bridge supervisor of just how bad that bridge actually was. And it's actually sounds like a long time, but it really isn't. That bridge was installed in 1999, which really isn't that long for a bridge, and it should have been expected to last longer than it did.
Okay, and Jeff, I'm assuming that they notify fire district and ambulance. We don't have to take care of that?
You know, they notify everybody, first aid, fire. Of course, we put it on our highway Facebook page so that and I have talked to many people about it, but they're pretty much in charge of contacting all the necessary people. You'll soon notice probably on the 11th or 12th, the detour signs, which the county will put up that we had discussed about. So it's pretty much in their hands. I'm just assisting them, however we can to get it out there so people know.
And the detour for people, will be to go down Medicahunts to 209 and then back up Queens Highway.
That's correct.
Or the opposite way, depending on
vice versa.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not a
Pretty
huge
clear cut.
detour. It's a few miles.
Correct. Yeah, it is. And most people that do live, as far as I know, that do live on Boodle Hole Road are already aware of the situation, and so they're prepared for it.
And there's no local other crossroad between those there. So it's not like we're going to experience a lot of people cutting corners with traffic. There is no other route, I don't think.
No, there isn't. No, they're
Yeah.
out of luck there.
Yeah.
It's either out the Queens Highway or out the, and you only have 4 houses that live on the Medicahonk side, most of the houses are on the Queens Highway side, have to go out the Queens Highway. So it affects more of that side than it does
Right.
the Medicahonk side.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Jeff. Go back to sharing screen. The next thing I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, the census. Reminder for everybody, if out there in the public and for board members, please remind residents, your friends and neighbors and families, if you haven't done your census, please do it. This is the current response rates. I just wanted to point out for Rochester, at the end of the census in 2010, they had a 53.3% response rate. We are sitting at 53.9, excuse me. We're sitting at 42%. So we're down. The number of households that they expect that have replied so far is 1,147. I'm sorry, 1,202. I'm reading the wrong column, which is pretty much about 40% of our residents, number households. So I will tell you there are some anomalies. We received the census form here at the town. Obviously nobody lives here, so there was not one to fill out for here, but we want to try to get that number up. So I'm going to try to do a little Facebook through my supervisor page, through the town website to get some word out there. And any of you are there on Facebook, if when I do that, you can share that to your friends, that would be great. We want to try to get those percentages up. They're currently started as of, I believe, sometime in June is when they will start actually going and knocking on the doors of people who haven't replied, although I'm not sure they figured out yet how that's going to happen. We try to get as many people to fill it out online or fill out, they can call the phone number and ask for a form to be mailed to them. There's a lot of different options. And what else did I have? Our constables report. Actually, before I do that, let's go to department reports. I didn't have anything more on the supervisor's report. Does anybody have any reports? I did get the code enforcement's numbers, but I don't have them sitting right in front of me. I apologize.
That's okay, Mike, and I have nothing from the court, obviously.
Yeah, obviously the court is at 0. So
we're gonna have to catch those books up when everything levels out too.
yeah, I am imagining one question that I've yet to get answered is what's happening with the mail? Is it just piling up in the PO box right now for the court
I
mail?
do not know. I do not know
only
the
the court
answer.
clerks get that mail, not the other mail our buildings and grounds guys pick up and bring to the clerk's office. But the court mail, they have their own PO box and they do their own mail. So
I can reach out to Leanne Warren and see.
yeah, or if
if
you want to
she'll-
ask maybe Judge Shaheen or
I could, Judge Shaheen or yeah.
Yeah, or Judge Laflamme know what's going on with that. I
I'll try
asked
to
that
get an
question
answer.
early on and never really got an answer. So it could just be that it's collecting.
I don't know how that would be though if there were tickets involved.
Yeah, well, there could be payments that people made from past.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so, okay. Any other board members have any other department updates?
Yeah.
Adam.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I can't find my video, actually. I'll find it. Okay. Last weekend I walked the 34-acre land with Andrew Faust for about 4 hours, and we finally got across the Millbrook. It was still rushing, but it wasn't freezing cold, so we were able to cross without being too scared. And we got to explore the additional 20 acres that we haven't seen yet. We found 2 really rare species of butternut, which is a very rare nut in New York. And it's perfect because we're creating a nut forest in the old farm areas. And so I even brought my son, and He's 17, and I thought he was going to be pissed that I asked him to come with me. And after about 2 hours, he goes, "This is a really nice park, Dad." So I'm really
Great.
excited. And we noticed, the whole fence around the solar, it's all flat land. So as we walked around there, we thought we could make a wood chip trail around the whole fence so families can bike and walk just on a nice flat surface. And
And Chris, I spoke with the solar company with Nexamp, and they are very excited about this and very interested in helping us create, a small parking area and
Wonderful.
whatever assistance they can lend. They think it's a great idea. So
Awesome. Yeah, the little wetland by the parking area is just teeming with birds and wildlife. So
yeah,
it's going to be a really nice picnic area too.
great.
So I'll keep you posted as we meet up there. And the ECC said they want to volunteer a lot and help us out. And Mike mentioned a donation. I'm willing to make a donation, whatever we need to do to start moving it forward. I think Andrew and I have started, but I'll update you on a monthly basis at the least.
Mary Lou, we probably have to involve you with that unless we just accept donations. A number of people have reached out to me just without even asking, saying, "Hey, if you guys are doing a park, we'd like to make a donation to the town to help pay for infrastructure of that park." We can just accept donations as we do any other donations? Oh, wait, hang on. I got to unmute you.
Can't hear you, Marilyn.
There we go.
Now let me say it again for everyone who, doesn't read lips. Yeah, you can just accept those donations if you need to accumulate them. You could even put them into a capital fund for parks.
Mm-hmm. We could
But
create
you
another
have it
capital.
earmarked rather than putting it in the general fund.
That's what I was going to ask. If I want to send a check, I'd have to put in the memo to earmark it? Or is that-
Well, you can earmark it, but the town board isn't obligated to follow your earmark. If you give it to us, it essentially goes into the general fund, but we can decide if we get enough volume. If we just get a few small checks, we can't really, it's not worthwhile to start a new capital project fund. But if we gather a certain amount, we could move it to a capital project fund, and then we're the ones who earmark it. As
Can
a
we
member of the
find-
public, you don't get to earmark it.
Can we find an account, Mike, in the comptroller, in your ARM to see if we could mark it
Yeah,
that way?
we would do a capital projects, we would put it in the capital projects fund B and earmark it toward parks.
No, I just meant in the general fund, mark it
Oh,
toward
to hold it?
parks. Yeah.
Well, in revenue line, no, it would have to be, it's got to go under donations because it's a donation. It's how we're receiving it.
I know, but can we do donation parks or something? Is there, well, I'd have to look in the
Oh, yeah,
ARM.
we
Like
could- well, we
create
could
another
create
line.
we could create a sub account for the donation.
That's what I meant.
Sure, we could do that.
I'd like to see it separated out.
Yeah, well, we would keep an internal bookkeeping of separating it out for sure. My point is just because somebody says, "I want this to go to parks."
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
and I just wanted to be
know.
clear on that. I mean, I would plan to honor it, but
Yeah.
it can't be designated only. They can't put conditions on their donation. It's
I
like-
know that, but we would know that from Chris, it would go to a
Oh,
park.
absolutely.
And I just want to thank Jeff for meeting me up there a few weeks ago, and the highway department, because they're very supportive of the project. And as we pull logs and branches out of the forest, they're going to wood chip for us. And Jeff, I found a better entrance than the one we were talking about for the annual mowing for the wildflowers. So I'll meet you up there another time. And Andrew would love to meet you also.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, let me know however we can help. Like I told you before, we'd be more than happy to help you out. So yeah, definitely. We'll get together again.
Great. Okay. Adam, you had something to say.
Oh, just real quick. I mean, Ashley and her team at the Department of Parks and Rec is obviously very upset they're not allowed. They just can't do a lot right now. I know Ashley's been integral in in delivering meals. They have reached out to the seniors that were participating in the programs. They're talking to them on a regular basis, and they're hoping to put together some kind of Zoom meeting or something for the after school kids, just to kind of close out the year. So, but again, they miss the kids, they miss the seniors, and everybody's just like everybody hoping to get back to normal sooner than later.
Great. Aaron, anything on transfer station?
Not really to speak of, just that I think they've been collecting more waste because people are home probably cleaning up.
I
So
can tell you the daily finance reports I get from what's collected there have risen. I think that's partially because people are buying tickets there rather than at the town clerk's office because it's not open, but I also think we're getting a lot more tonnage.
yeah, I just noticed that some of the bins were full that I've never had an issue with before.
Do you think we need to consider going to limiting the number of cars at a time in there? I have not heard, I've heard one complaint so far the entire month of April from a resident about feeling people were too close to them, but that's all I heard.
I've gone on several occasions and I felt that residents were being very responsible. But I can talk to, the times I've talked to Harry, he has said that it seemed manageable.
I felt that as well. This person said they felt like people were too close to them at the recycling area, but it may have been a personal perception or maybe a unique circumstance. So
Also now I feel that since we have state guidance about face coverings for both the staff and people using it, I think at this moment, the awareness of the distancing is more than it was a month ago.
right.
People seem much more aware of the situation now and I think are being more responsible.
Okay. Jeff, moving on to your report. Have you got anything to report?
No, other than what you had mentioned before, we're back to full staff, which is good. And we're following certain protocol that we have to follow because of that. Of course, we have I guess they call it the touchless thermometer on the way that we'll have to use when we get to take the temperature of the guys as they come in the door every morning. But until then, we're just asking them how they feel, following the protocol we have to follow because we're back to 100% crew. But other than that, things have been going smoothly, and we're moving forward the best we can. So
Great. Okay. And for people, they very rarely do our highway workers share vehicles. When they do, they're wearing face coverings. When they're out where they may be around closer than 6 feet to each other, they're wearing face coverings. If they always have them with them in case a member of the public comes upon them and they have to put them on, even when they're working individually. So we're maintaining all those. And Jeff's, I will say the guys were very anxious to get back to work. We did not experience what some other highway crews experienced. Our guys were sort of begging to come back to work, and they do.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, that's the truth there. Absolutely.
So,
they're happy to be back.
Yeah. Okay. Constabulary report. Rich was kind enough to send it to me today. I will just share with you the highlights of it. The courts remain closed. He had 14 calls for service in April. There were 12 neighbor-to-neighbor quality of life complaints, 2 traffic complaints, 2 environmental complaints, 4 building department violations. The court proceedings has not changed. They got a call about an individual driving a vehicle at a high rate of speed on a town road, endangering children. We've gotten some complaints about garbage being dumped on their properties, various places around the town, including some new locations. We're getting a lot of calls about people from cars parking adjacent to or in front of their properties, blocking the road. I will tell you, around the Mohonk Park, I'm getting quite regular calls from some of the residents who live there. People are creating their own way back through the woods to the Mohonk trails because the Mohonk trailheads are all closed. They're getting creative and finding their own ways. I do especially want to call out our constables last weekend and the weekend before in reaction to the parking at Minnewaska along 4455 along the state highway. I detailed 2 constables and 2 vehicles. The first weekend, we only did Saturday. Sunday was a washout. Last weekend, they did both days. They are on duty from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. What they are doing is we have a constable in each vehicle. They are coordinating with the park rangers, with the park staff. There has also been state police coverage 2 out of those 3 days. The third, last Sunday, there was only 1 car up there. Jeff, that was your brother, I'm told.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, what has been happening is by starting early enough, when the lots fill up, as soon as the first car tries to park on the road, we roll up behind them, hit the lights and sirens, use the PA system to advise them they need to move their vehicle. We've been successful so far. By keeping the first few away from doing it, we've eliminated the followers. And it's working. Great success according to the park superintendent and his assistant. Great success according to the state police. Great success according to the sheriff's office. And great success according to our own constables. And I've been up there myself and witnessed it. It's working. It's a relatively minimal expense for us every weekend. And I plan to continue doing this. We are adding 1 addition this weekend at the recommendation of one of the constables who also happens to work for the park. We are going to position a constable at the gate because the state police is not able to keep somebody there all the time. And the park rangers, they cover parks from basically from the New Jersey line all the way up to us. So they're pretty non-existent as well. And so this ranger or this constable is going to work 4 hours, be positioned at the gate to assist the park staff in moving people so they don't start parking right at the park area. And I think it's it's going to cost us maybe $75 a day for that person. And at that cost, it's worthwhile to keep people safe. My biggest concern has always been that somebody's going to be walking along the road on the car side, and with all those turns, somebody's going to come around a turn and they're going to be badly injured or worse. So I don't deny it's a state road. A number of residents have somewhat criticized us on Facebook that this is not our problem, but I look at it as just as the wildfires in Minnewaska were our problem, this is our problem too. So I'll leave it at that. And I want to say thank you very much to the constables for all the work they're doing up there. They're doing a great job. They're adhering to the directive of not engaging. This is not about writing tickets. As a matter of fact, I've told them a perfect day is not to write a single ticket up there because there's nothing we can't send them to court anyway. It's not about revenue, it's about safety. So I'll get off my soapbox on it, but thank you guys.
Good soapbox, Mike, because my daughter-in-law travels that mountain on Sunday and she's very much relieved that there's less traffic there.
Yep.
I want to
Go ahead, Erin.
add that I heard, we have town residents who we work with, so we talk to them, and I've heard from several people how grateful they are when they see the constables, because it's not just people parking on the side of the road, that people are stopping when they find out the lot is full and they're backing up the state road because they're not moving. And the constables are able to get to do that communication and get people to actually keep driving and make it it's very chaotic right now. So I'm also very grateful for their help.
Yeah, it's a minimal expense and we have budgeted for it. And I think it's right now, it's the best way we can utilize our constables. It's giving I'm not going to kid them ourselves. It's given 2 or 3 of them some work that they didn't have otherwise. All these guys have other jobs This isn't their only job, but they really want to do this, especially the local guys who are from our town or from the next town over. They're very interested and excited to do this. So, okay, so we'll move on now to resolutions. Our first resolution, sorry, I just have to switch pages again here. This is for the local law, establishing best value procurement. This is the recommended resolution. The town board adopts.
Mike,
local
did
law.
you already do the seeker?
We did.
No.
No, we did it in March.
Okay,
We did an egg deck in March on this. I made sure I double checked.
okay.
Yeah, we were originally scheduled for public hearing in April. We postponed the public hearing until tonight.
Okay, just wanted to be sure. I know
Yeah.
you sent us part 1 and 2, but I didn't know if they've
Yeah.
been adopted yet. Okay.
Yeah. Do you have the minutes handy, Kate, to double check that? But I'm fairly certain we did a resolution at the March meeting.
Yeah, I don't have them with me, but now that you said that, I do remember that.
Yeah, okay. I was pretty sure we did because it was a no count, I mean, not no county impact. I'm in my county planning board mode. It was a neg deck since it's a policy, but okay. So the town board adopts local law 2 of 2020 establishing best value procurement, requests the town clerk file the local law with Department of State. You want to have a motion?
I'll
Make
make
them- I'll second the motion.
Okay. Is there any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none. Kate, will you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
We lost him.
Is he muted or did we lose him?
Nope, I was on mute. Aye.
and Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, next, action on our April minutes. The town board accepts the minutes of April 2nd, 2020, regular meeting. I'm gonna add, there's one amendment. I asked Kate to just include the statement that we read at the beginning of the meeting, which we also read at the April meeting. She didn't have that in the minutes. I'm going to provide her that language and ask her to just put it in the minutes so it's recorded. So with that amendment, I'll make the motion that we accept the minutes. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion or questions? I just want to say really nice job, Kate. I can imagine it was a lot harder than usual. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next is budget modifications. I've emailed you these, but I'm going to put them up on the screen. I'd ask for a motion. Hang on 1 minute. I have a participant here. Somebody's waiting to get in. Oh, we lost Jeff. Get him back in here. We got you back, Jeff?
Yeah, I disconnected myself.
No problem. It happens. Okay. Okay, so upon recommendation of the town supervisor, the town board authorizes modification of the 2020 general fund and highway fund budgets. If I can get a motion and a second for discussion, and then I'll put them up on the screen, what the amendments are.
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay. They are as follows, and it's the blue column, so you know, the other columns are the previous ones. So in the general fund, we are adding $400 in the assessor's postage line. They had to do more mailings than were originally anticipated. We are adding $100 in professional services in central data processing. And we are adding $100 under miscellaneous under the superintendent of highways category. So it's a grand total of $600 difference. Rather than try to find other budget lines to take it out of, for the moment, I just pulled 600 out of the contingency budget to account for that $600. With those changes, our general fund as of the end of April is, there are no lines in deficit. So every line is in the positive. I had to make those changes just to make corrections to some expenses, minor expenses that were not planned on.
It looks nice, Mike.
Thank you very much. And then moving on to highway, it's a little more complicated because of labor. Jeff and I chose the COVID hours, as we call them, rather than try to assign them to another category like roads or snow plowing or something. We assigned all those to administration. Clearly, that was not planned at the beginning of the year. So we had to make some significant changes. You will see in the blue column. In April, like for example, in the administration, in the pre-2014 employees, we added 7,000. We added another 7,000 to balance the budget in April. We added 13,000 in the employees that were hired post 2014. We added 3,000 in the mechanic line. We had to add 8 more thousand to the engineering line. That was, we got the engineering bill for the Minnewaska Trail Bridge. That was, remember, that was about 4,000 something. I anticipate there'll be a little more engineering bills coming up with some of these other projects. So I upped our engineering line by 8,000. Road work. We took 10,000 away and moved it to culverts. Back in the original beginning of the year, we had added a lot more to road work and took it away from vehicles that we had budgeted for, that Jeff decided we could get by another year without, and we're going to put that money, which will be CHIPS related money, into road work. To offset those some of those hours that went to administration, I pulled it out of snow plowing because we had such a light snow season. So I pulled 3,000 out of the foreman line, 25,000 out of the pre-2014 line. It still leaves us a substantial balance for the November, December. And what other changes? Unemployment insurance, we do have the one highway worker that is getting unemployment. We continue to try to fight that charge, but for the moment we are forced to pay the bill. That's what the 10,000 is put in there for. If he gets all the unemployment that he is qualified for according to the state, it will be $13,000, but we continue to challenge that. It's just right now we can't go before a judge to challenge it, or before an administrative officer, because we can't have face-to-face meetings. So hopefully we will get that money back. So those are the balancing of the budgets, pretty straightforward stuff. So I think I already have a motion in a second. So roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Allen,
Aye.
Councilman
Excuse me 1
Hagen.
minute.
Yeah.
Can I just ask that at the end of that, you put as presented?
I thought
In
it said
the-
it in there. Oh, you're right, it doesn't. I'm sorry. Normally it does. I somehow
Yeah,
dropped.
I
those
just
words.
realized, boy, you could do anything if we don't put as presented in there.
Yep. Okay. So at the end of, we'll amend that. Whoever made that motion, will you amend it?
Aaron,
Yeah.
I will
And the
amend
second,
the motion.
we'll just add the word as presented at the end. Thank you for that catch, Mary Lou.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Allen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next resolution, this is a recommendation from our accountants. So I'd ask for the motion on advisement of Sickler, Torsia, Allen, and Churchill. The town board authorizes the supervisor to commence a transfer of $539.32 from general checking account ending in 0266 into the grant fund account ending in 5857 to reconcile the account.
Make
Do I
the
have a
motion. I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'm not sure exactly why. Last year, they had me go the other direction.
I know.
We had too much in the grant fund and they had us move.
I don't know.
I suspect perhaps they had us move something that was the expenditure rolled over from one year to the next or something. The expenditure report I have up here, it balances out to at the end of 19, $3,203.78 remained from the JCAP. The only money in that account right now are the JCAP, as is showing here. The JCAP, which is that number, and the 105,000, which we're going to talk about in a minute. They say we had to move that amount to adjust it. So that being said, we'll move that amount and that will reconcile that account. There's no other reason other than I think too much was probably moved last year. So any other questions or discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Anawen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock, I'm sorry,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt, I apologize.
Aye.
Councilman Paddock
Aye.
and Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next is another transfer of funds on advisement of Sickler, Torsia, Allen, and Churchill. The town board authorizes the supervisor to commence a transfer of $105,000 from grant fund account ending in 5857 to capital projects fund ending in 3024 to be labeled for cable improvement. Excuse me.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
A second.
Okay, discussion. Let me go back to that page. Back in 2011, in December, and I found the resolution backing it when I went back through the minutes. Apparently Supervisor Chipman decided he wanted to take $35,000 of the cable franchise money that the town receives and create an account for cable improvements. For some reason, it was put in the grant fund. I'm not sure where. When I went into the motion, it didn't say where it should be put. It just gave him the authority to move $35,000 from the general fund into a cable improvement fund. After talking with the accountants, they agree with me that the grant fund does not seem the appropriate place to keep this money. It has nothing to do with a grant. I propose for the short term, we put it into capital projects. We could always break it out into its own capital projects for cable improvement if we choose to down the road, but we'd have to establish that account first with the bank. So rather than trying to do all that right now, I'm just going to we'll move it from the grant fund over. There were two more payments of $35,000 made, one at the end of 2012, one at the end of 14. I did not get a chance to go back and see if they were officially done by resolution, but they clearly were put in that account, and Shirley's paperwork had them earmarked for cable improvement fund. Mary Lou, I'll look to you, and you don't have to tell me now. You can give me guidance later if I need to do anything special with that. For the short term, I just wanted to do this other resolution tonight to move the money from one account to the other.
Yes, and then we'll make sure we establish things properly.
Right.
Again, Mike, I
Yep.
don't know if you could do it with numbers from the ARM, category numbers, if you wanted to take while it's in that fund and assign it a number.
Yeah, in the capital fund, and
I
this
know.
this
I
is an
know.
ongoing issue, and I have to have further conversation with Joe
Joe,
from
yeah.
Sickler and on how to do this, and with the comptroller's office. what's happened with the capital fund is money's just been put in there and it's been a handwritten note of what it's earmarked for. We could do one of many options. We could create a separate capital fund for each project.
I know.
It can all be in one bank account, but we could do separate bookkeeping for each one. There's a lot of different ways to handle it. I want to kind of investigate our best options before we make too many changes, but at least now it's in the right fund and it's earmarked properly. So,
Right. My concern is whatever bank you go to, they don't charge you each month for it.
no, this is all through Sterling. Sterling doesn't charge us
I know,
monthly bank
I know.
fees. Yeah.
They know.
Yep. No, we have all, I think at this point, all our town supervisor and town accounts are with Sterling. I believe yours are too, right, Kate?
Yes.
Yeah. It's only the judges that are with a different bank. I believe everybody else is with Sterling at this
I
point.
had asked the judge, Laflamme, to please change her account because they will not give up on that service charge each month. They're adamant about it.
Yeah, I know. I know. Okay, any other questions or discussion? If not, roll call vote, please, Kate.
Can I just ask,
Cas- Yep.
Oh, yep, go ahead, Aaron.
just real quick, what would be the purpose of the cable improvement, or what is that? It's
Well,
just,
it could be one of two, it could be several things. What some towns do is they put it in order to, say Spectrum has met their mileage of increased lines already for the contract, and they're not willing to build anymore, and we got residents that don't have cable, and if we decide there's enough need or value, we can pay the bill for the Spectrum lines to be
That is, I was around back in the day, and that's exactly what they were anticipating, because there's so many rural areas where you don't have enough houses that would mandate that Spectrum, or I guess at the time, Time Warner, or
Yeah.
whoever it was, put the cable in. So the town board back in 2011, I guess it was, said that they wanted to take those franchise fees and put them aside for that use.
I know Harold Lipton did do cable extensions because Mountain Laurel Road was one of those extensions. There were 1, 2, 3, 4 houses on that road, but that road did get extensions.
With that being said, there's other options to wired cable anymore. One of the things I wanted to bring up in discussion, not in the supervisor's report, is Warsing is looking with a company out of Sullivan County that's doing some work in Sullivan County with wireless broadband, small scale, and Dennis independently did some research of the region and fell upon the fact that we could put broadband service on one of our cell towers. Not, unfortunately, sadly, not the two that are on Town of Rochester property, the one that's on independent property. But that would cover some of the trouble spots according to the mapping in the town. And that could be a cheaper option rather than running copper. So, but it could be done. We can pretty much do anything we want, Aaron, as long as we're improving cable services to the residents with that money.
I think it's great that we have this available.
Yeah, and I'll be very honest, I did not know it existed. I don't see the monthly bank statements every month, and the reconciliation is done. And it was reconciling, so nobody alerted me until I was asked a question, an innocent question by the accountant. And then I said, $105,000. And that led to the discussion of, oh yeah, there's money in there that's earmarked. I assumed the capital project fund was the capital project fund, and I didn't know that there was any money in the grant fund other than JCAP. So
That answers my question. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, moving on.
You gotta do roll call.
We need to
Oh,
vote.
sorry about that. Thanks, Kate.
Councilman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock, and Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, now moving on. You remember we put out bids with absolute auction. We received those back this morning. I think I emailed them to all of you. I made this slide before. I'll put up the bid sheet when we're done. But first, I'm asking on recommendation of the highway superintendent, we accept the bids received by Absolute Auction Realty for the following items approved for sale with resolution 69-2020. That would be the grader, the dozer, the bulk storage tanks. Nobody bid on, nobody wanted them. So that one we will drop from the, there's nothing to accept. The other ones, we had very good news. Let me bring that up.
8,000 and something.
Yep, we got the dozer is $80,200 and the grader is $7,000. So a total of $15,200. And the good news is in our budget, I think we had budgeted 7,000 or 8,000 for equipment. So it's a little bit of surplus there we didn't plan on. So did I ask for a motion already, Kate?
No.
I'll make
Okay,
the motion.
yep. Second,
I'll second.
are there any questions or discussions? Okay, if not, roll call vote.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. And Jeff, I'll get back to Taylor tomorrow, let him know we've accepted those bids and excuse me, he'll be in contact with you to coordinate pickup. I think they have to pick up within 1 week, I believe, is from receipt of payment. What'll happen is
Okay.
I'll let them know we accept. They'll let me know as soon as they receive payment, which is usually within a couple days. So probably by early next week, they'll have gotten payment. And then they'll come pick them up. So we should have whatever paperwork that goes with them ready to go with whoever buys it. And you said there's not a license plate on either one of those, correct?
The license plate that's on the grader, Chris will have off by then, and then I have all the
Yeah.
other paperwork. Yeah.
Kate, could you do me a favor for both this and the car? We have to turn in the plates, and in order to cancel the insurance, you have to turn in the plates. Obviously, we can't go to the county and turn in the plates right now. Could you maybe reach out to the county clerk and see if we can mail the plates in or how we can handle them? Or,
Sure.
because I don't want to continue to pay insurance on something that we don't own anymore.
Right. Okay.
So those two, I just need to figure out, maybe the insurance can just accept it if we provide them a bill of sale and we turn in the plates when the COVID is, when that's removed, but I don't know how we deal with it.
All right. I'll see what I can find out.
I figured Nina would be able to tell us though.
Yep.
Next resolution. Sorry, back to the other page. This is recommendation, the supervisor, town board accepts the bids received by absolute auction for the following items approved for sale with resolution 70 of 2020, and that's the Chevy Cavalier, $500. Do I have that motion?
I'll make-
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Unfortunately, this one I outsmarted us. We had an opportunity to sell it for probably $1,000 last year, but at that time the frame wasn't rotted out yet. So we thought we could get a few more years out of it, but after discovering it is not usable as is, we're losing out a little bit. So all in favor on that? Kate, you roll call.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, next resolution. Jeff, this is where you get to shine. Here's the resolution. The town board approves the expenditure of $182,000 in highway monies for the primary work and general repairs of 111 miles of town highways in accordance with section 284 of the highway law, and authorizes signature of the agreement. The expenditures have been verified as being budgeted highway fund amounts for 2020 by the supervisor. Here's the list of the roads. The chip seal will be $75,000. Doing Sundale Road, Crum Road, Rock Mountain Estates, Fisher Road, Burr Road. 2-inch paving, blacktop, not to exceed 60,000 on the entire road of Van Tyne Road and the areas needed in Sundale Road. The materials will be stone, not to exceed 27,000, culverts, not to exceed 10,000, equipment rental, not to exceed 10,000. So do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jeff, do you want to give any more explanation on this or description?
Basically, this is just a yearly agreement that I have to do. Of course, with your acceptance, the board acceptance, Kate gets a copy of this and I have to send it into the county. It's more of a formality than anything as far as sending it to the county. But I'm technically not allowed to spend any of this money, which we get reimbursed for through CHIPS. I wouldn't qualify to get reimbursed for through CHIPS if I did not give you a 284 agreement to approve for me. So basically, that's what this is all about.
Okay, and Jeff, for curiosity, how many miles of Sundale Road is that, do you think, or feet? Or
It's gonna probably be probably about a half mile of blacktop, and then the whole 2 miles worth of oil and chip, because it's
okay,
roughly about 2 miles long.
okay, great. For the board members, this is an actual agreement that I need signatures on from at least a majority of the board. What I will do is I'm going to sign 3 copies tonight or tomorrow. I'll get Jeff to sign the same 3 copies. I will get in contact with each of you to figure out how I can get them to you for you guys to sign, because then we have to send them on to the county. The county DPW commissioner needs to sign all 3 copies. They keep 1, Jeff keeps 1, and the town keeps 1. So we'll figure out the logistics of how to get that signed. Does anybody else have any other questions?
No.
Okay, roll call vote, please, Kate.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next resolution, it's time for our annual sand bid. We usually put this out in May or June. We usually award it at our July meeting. Given the COVID situation, I didn't want to wait until the June meeting to get this out. I want to give people a little more time because of this. So we're asking the town clerk to post advertisement seeking sealed bids for abrasive screen sand for winter road use. Specifications available from the town clerk's office. Bids due on or before Thursday, June 25th, 2020 at 11 a.m. Is that date okay with you, Kate? I didn't check it, but that's a week before our meeting.
No, that's fine.
Okay. They will be open and read aloud. A non-collusion form and certified testing results shall be included as part of the bid package, and the town board has the right to reject any and all bids. These are the specs, the same as we put out last year. Sand will be hard with 100% passing through a 3/8 inch screen, 15% pass or not more than 15% passing through number 50 mesh, not more than 4% passing through number 200 mesh, and readily usable and spreading equipment. Testing results shall be submitted as part of the bid package. Bid prices shall be priced per ton, no variations accepted. If they do not have a scale at the site, they must state their conversion factor on the bid. It will be picked up by Town of Rochester designated trucks, either our own trucks or trucks that Jeff contracts with. And the bid will be valid for 1 year from July 1, 2020 till June 30, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I can do it this year.
Yep. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? Also, just for the board's information, we also do is before we award this bid, I usually ask Jeff. Last year, I checked with him what the county bid is for sand. We compare that as another possibility. Even though we received these bids, obviously, if the county one is cheaper, we go with the county. Last year, our bid was a little bit slightly higher than the county bid. However, the county bid was a sandbank in Wawarsing in Napanock, and our bid was from Courtright on Rochester Center Road. So we did a comparison of mileage driven and found that overall it would be cheaper to go with the local bid. So we will do that same thing again this year. We'll look at the county bid and see if it's cheaper than what we received.
That falls value then, right?
This is not bid as best value. We can do that because of the responsible bid
Okay,
language.
okay.
Yeah.
I just want to mention, for Kate, if by some chance we're not back to being an open town hall by the date of the bid opening, it should be done on video. So that those who have put
Okay.
bids in can watch,
Okay.
Okay.
okay? Hopefully we'll be able to have people in by then.
We can do that as a YouTube and broadcast it out on the YouTube with no problem. Thank you for that.
You're
I
welcome.
wondered if people, Kate, would want, if they called in, would you mail them a bid package?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, instead of making them run in.
Absolutely. Most
Okay.
times
And
they
they
get
don't
them
even
off
have to
the
get,
website.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they don't even have to get a bid package from us as long as they meet these specs.
Right.
There's not a form from us that they have to fill out.
Yeah,
They can just provide a bid with those specs.
okay.
But anybody who wants the information certainly can come, yeah, we can mail it. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Anawen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next resolution, authorizing modification of an intermunicipal agreement with the Ackroyd Fire District, and I'll put it up in a moment. Excuse me. Based on the highway superintendent recommendation, town board authorizes the supervisor to modify the intermunicipal agreement originally dated February 13, 2019 between the Ackroyd Fire District and the town of Rochester as presented, and to sign the modified agreement extending offer to continue the agreement through June 1, 2021. This is the agreement here. Sorry, that was the 284 agreement. What we've done is previously we were snow plowing for them and they were paying us $75 an hour for their services. You remember last month, Jeff said he would like to go a different route. So in return, you'll see in number 2, and I believe they have verbally agreed to this. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes, they have.
Okay. The AFD will allow the town highway department to fill their water truck at the AFD Company 1 location, and they will also bring one of their tank trucks to the town highway department to wash out the sander bodies with high pressure water at the end of the winter plowing season. This will extend the life of our truck bodies considerably. It will save huge amounts of time in filling up the water truck, and what little we spend on plowing in labor and a little bit of sand in their parking lots more than makes up for it. So I just want to make sure I did put the correct date in here. Yep, terminate on June 30th, 2021. So with that said, do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Questions? Okay. Roll call vote, please. Kate?
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. I'll get this drawn up, and Kate, I'll get it to you tomorrow, and if you can forward it on to the fire district for them to sign. Next, authorization for an agreement. This is upon recommendation of the attorney for the town. The town board accepts the agreement between the town of Rochester and the Rochester Food Pantry, a not-for-profit organization. And Mary Lou, you had different
Okay,
language.
I'm gonna, up to there, it's good, but instead of for use, it will be for operation of the Rochester Food Pantry at the Harold Lipton Community Center. Do we call that the annex? Do we have a name for that? new
Just the Harold
portion?
Lipton Community Center. It's all part of
Okay.
the same building.
And the reason I want that changed from for use, they already can use it from the New York Rising grant. So they can go in there, and in fact, they already are in there. But we just want to make sure it's clear who's doing what.
So it's for
So
operation
it's for operation
Of
of
the
the
town of
Rochester Food Pantry. Just Rochester Food Pantry. It's not called Town of Rochester Food Pantry, right?
Oh, Rochester, yes, Rochester. Food
For the
Pantry.
Rochester Food
Yeah.
Pantry at the Harold Lipton Community Center.
Okay.
Okay, if you didn't get that, let me know tomorrow and
I
I'll,
got it.
okay,
And authorize, and then the continuing is okay, authorize
Right,
the
yes.
supervisor to sign the agreement. Okay.
yes.
Let me go through the agreement with you real quick. Mary Lou was kind enough to get this put together. This was done by Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Fund. So we've built it for them. We had a memorandum of understanding prior to construction. Now this is for the operation. So they may occupy it for the period as specified in paragraph 4 of the memorandum of understanding. We will be responsible for building maintenance of the improvements constructed. That means outside stuff or major repairs of anything. You know, if there's a water leak or something like that, I guess that would be our responsibility. Pantry shall be responsible for the operation of the food pantry improvements, including garbage and waste removal and interior cleaning. They'll name additional insured on their general liability insurance, which they have provided to us already. We will provide them 2 keys to the front door and they cannot duplicate them. Also, the rear door, which is where they get their deliveries, has a keypad code. They will have control over the keypad access, but they must supply us the key code if they make changes to it. We do not currently charge them for electric or internet usage, but we reserve the right to do so in the future. What we're going to do is monitor how much electricity is actually used by them. For that purpose, what was installed is what's called a check meter. It's an inline meter in between the central Hudson meter and the electrical panel that feeds that wing. And we will be able to monitor the kilowatt hours that are used by them on a month-to-month basis. If it's a negligible amount, it's probably a non-issue. We just have no idea what their freezers and refrigerators are going to draw. And either party may terminate this agreement by providing written notice to the other at least 90 days in advance. However, because this was built specifically with grant money for a food pantry building, it has to remain that for 5 years. We can't suddenly kick them out and take it over and say we want to use it for town offices. That's not an option. So we have to continue that. I'm not sure when the 5-year period started, though. I have to confirm that with Bill Blankenship. And so that's the agreement. And thank you, Mary Lou, for getting this together. They have been in operation now about a month, roughly, and I wanted to get this done. We got them in there because of the COVID. They needed to be operating, but it's important to both of us to get this resolved. So I'd ask for that motion.
I'll make the motion.
A second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to bring something up that I've talked to some of the volunteers with the food pantry. They've asked me about recycling and helping out with garbage. So I just wanted to ask the board what they thought about if I could assess to see whether or not that would be something that would be easy for us to do, and then maybe have some sort of understanding. Because I could like I could like see what they're producing and see if it was something that like Harry could pick up when he's doing his weekly pickup at the building.
Could we give them bins to sort in? You know, different size bins? Aaron, is there something like that available?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Once we figure
Yeah.
out how much?
Yeah, I mean, right now, the way it's written is that they would be responsible for removing any recycling and hauling away any garbage. So I was just thinking that that is one place that could be really easy for us to help them out because it's a volunteer organization. And they are serving our community.
It is not for profit, but I don't know if this would be considered commercial waste, which we can't pick up.
Okay.
You know, I'm not sure on that, but that's a
And that's actually a
concern.
good point. We're allowed to, any municipal waste that we create, we're allowed to put into our transfer station. Like if we demolish a building, we can that's not commercial, we can put that in. Now, I'm not saying they're gonna demolish a building.
God, I hope not.
But I don't know if the volume, like we can't even take business recycling. You know, say a business creates a lot of cardboard boxes, they can't bring them to our transfer station. So I'm not sure. Mary Lou makes a very valid point. We may not legally be allowed to.
And also, I know they're on our property, but then you're setting a precedent of picking up the garbage for profits in the town. You know, if you're doing it for them and it's a town service, are you going to do it for some
For a
other
state squad or
nonprofit that, right?
Yeah.
It seems like not a big deal, but it could be, which I know
Well,
seems kind of
that's my
silly, but
concern. If suddenly they get a large amount of waste and we can't get to it right away. I mean, if it's just a bag once in a while, that's one thing, but I'm reluctant to commit ourselves to, we'll pick up your garbage. And then and then if there's, who knows what happens and we suddenly can't pick it up for whatever reason. And then, I'd rather they're just responsible for what they create. I mean, if it's only a bag, I would think the volunteer could take it home with them at some point easily. I know they told me the composting they're making, somebody's already taking home, so.
Okay, I just wanted to put it to the board.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it, but I do think we sort of start setting we gave them a pretty nice building.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and we're heating it. We're giving them, for now, we're giving them electric. The only
internet.
expense they really have is their insurance and their phone line that they needed. And I know they do a valuable service. I'm not denying that at all. But I think, I don't know. I just see the garbage could become a sticky point, and I'd rather not create an issue that doesn't really need to exist. So, anybody else have any other thoughts? If not, I'll ask Kate to call the vote. Okay. Kate?
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock.
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, moving on. Next resolution. I emailed you all a form that was a letter that was received. I would prefer not to put the letter up on the screen. You all have seen it. So we had an offer, and so the resolution is you're authorizing the town supervisor to accept a donation of $320 from Margaret Smith with request to fund 2 hours of attorney for the town billing hours.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second? Was that you, Chris? Second?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Mary Lou, you wanted to speak on this, so let me
Yeah,
let you speak first.
This person has nicely offered that donation, but is asking that I do particular work for the town with that money. I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with setting a precedent that if somebody wants the town to look into something, they say, oh, I'll pay for it. I just, it feels real conflict of interest to me. I think the town should decide if they want me to pursue something, and then the town should pay me if you want me to. This is not something you've asked me to do. It's something someone would like you to do.
My feeling on this is if she wants to take whatever she has to her attorney,
Yes.
let her take it. She's dictating to us with her money how our attorney and what our attorney will do. And I think that's dead wrong. We have our attorney. She's our attorney for the town board, for the town. And we get to utilize you, Mary Lou. And with that being said, her money means nothing to me in this instance. It means nothing. It's like, it's void, it's moot, it's nothing, because she can't request you, pay you to do something that she wants you to do. You're not her attorney.
Right. And I think you've all known that over the years, every once in a while, I'll get a phone call from someone who, wants me to look into something for them, for the town. And I say, no, you bring your concern to the town board. And if they'd like me to look into it, they will ask me to look into it. I don't think you should start a precedent where you'll ask me to look into something if somebody pays for it.
No. And I can't see the hooks that's in this check, but I know there's hooks in there somewhere.
Well, I mean, I think just alone for the precedent reason, we don't want to send a message that people who give the town money can have sway over what we do. We shouldn't be able to be bribed, and someone giving us money to make us do something isn't the way we operate. We can look into whatever it is that she would like Mary Lou to look into, and as a board, we can decide whether or not, and you would get paid, Mary Lou.
Well, thank you. Right, but it would be something that you would assign to me if you felt it was.
No matter who it is or what the issue is, we just can't. I think it's completely impersonal, but this isn't something that I feel good about either.
I would say I also forwarded to you all the additional documentation that was received with that cover letter. Certainly take a look at that. You can all let me know if you want to have Mary Lou pursue anything of that, or if you would like me to pursue it with the doesn't have to be Mary Lou. It could be me calling the comptroller's office, I believe was the request. So with all that being said, I'm going to amend the motion that you authorize the supervisor to return the donation check of $320 from Margaret Smith. So do I have a second on that amendment?
Second.
Okay. I will say when I received the check, it was mid-April. I gave the check to clerk's office. It's been kept in the town safe. I did not want it in the supervisor's office with the possibility of being lost. So it is in the clerk's office. So we will return it tomorrow. Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye, to return the check.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye, to return the check.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
and Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to go into discussion. The first two are actually going to be resolutions. Mary Lou was able to look at these bonds. Let me put them up. And so the first is a landscaping bond. There are two, one for each community solar site. These were required by the planning board decision for the final C of O. What these landscaping bonds are is to be held by the town for 1 year from the date of the bond for any replacement of any diseased or dying landscaping at each site. It was based on 125% of the cost of the landscaping for each site, and they provided me the bill of sale for the landscaping earlier this week, which is how I calculated these numbers. So we can group them into one resolution. So it is the Borrego, with Borrego Solar Systems. The 6140 Route 209 is in the amount of $42,690. And the off Airport Road is in the amount of $42,005. And Mary Lou has reviewed those bonds. So I guess putting that form in the form of a motion. Am I signing them, Mary Lou? Is that what it is?
No, you're just accepting them.
Okay. 'Cause I thought there was
The
a spot
town
on
board
here
is
for my
accepting them.
signature. The town board is accepting. Okay. So so the motion would be then on advisement of by the attorney for the town board accepts the landscaping bonds by Borrego Solar Systems Incorporated, and we should name each site and the amount in each site. So off Airport Road, $42,005, and 6140 Route 209 is $42,690. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second. My question is this for additional landscaping?
No,
No, this is landscaping. This is the landscaping that was planted. The planning board wanted an assurance that if it were all to die in the first year, that they just didn't walk away and go, oh, well, it died. So this is the way the town has recourse. If we go out and we look and we say, hey, that tree's dying, you got to replace it. We have recourse. We can institute the bond.
right, if they don't replace it.
Who would be inspecting? Would it be code enforcement?
Yes.
And he can ask for whatever assistance he would possibly need if he needed it.
The ECC offered that assistance
Correct.
if needed.
Yeah. And this was mostly to the planning board felt strongly enough, and it was significant enough landscaping that they wanted an assurance, and Borrego did agree to it. It just, for a lot of reasons, it got dropped through the cracks until they went for the final C of O, and we realized it was never established. So they have actually only been in operation, well, since November at the 6140, and since I think December at the, or October and December. So, any other questions? If not, roll call vote.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, the next resolution, this is for the decommissioning bonds for the two sites. As you know, Borrego Solar was who we contracted with to build it. They have since turned it over to Nexamp for operations. As such, Nexamp is now assuming the decommissioning bonds. So these bonds that they're proposing are replacing the Borrego solar bonds. So Mary Lou, I'll just turn it over to you how the resolution should read. It's probably easier.
Okay, you only need a resolution to accept the decommissioning bonds of Nexamp. You don't have to do anything with the Borrego because they've given us notice that they're gonna expire. So we'll just let them expire.
And the amounts are the same amounts as the Borrego bonds, right? So we don't even have to include the amounts. We're just,
No, you should include the amounts and the
Okay.
addresses, just like you did with the landscaping bonds,
okay,
because they're new bonds.
okay. So then in this case, upon advice of the supervisor, advice of the attorney for the town board accepts the replacement bonds of 6140 Route
I
209.
wouldn't even call them replacement bonds, just
Okay.
Nexamp decommissioning bonds.
Okay, Nexamp decommissioning bonds as follows: 6140 Route 209 North LLC in the amount of $242,188.75. And the other one is going to be a different name.
Right, and actually, you don't have to put Nexamp in because you're getting them from these other
Right. These are the, yeah,
companies.
I just got to find where the next one is. And Mary Lou, they mailed me the hard copies of them. They arrived today by FedEx.
Beautiful.
Of course, this one is much smaller.
Off Airport Road
Off
West.
Airport Road
LLC.
West LLC. And the amount is $262,382. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion or further questions? Okay, roll call vote, please, Kate.
Councilman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next agenda item. This is, you remember when we first signed up for the community solar, one of the questions many of us asked is, can the town sign on? And at the time, we couldn't, and we were not allowed to sign on to our own solar properties. I'm very happy to announce that Nexamp informed me this week that both properties are 100% sold out. But they are able to now offer us the opportunity with our town electric bills. We have 10 town accounts of electricity with Central Hudson. You remember a couple months ago, we discussed another company that had reached out to us, and I will tell you 3 or 4 others have reached out to us. Nexamp is offering us the same thing of buying into another site. They ran a cost estimate for us. On the screen in front of you is the estimate of those 8 accounts of what the annual savings would be. Admittedly, in the street lighting districts, it's not a significant amount, but bear in mind that those 3 last street lighting districts, the total bill is only about $5,000 a year. It's probably more it's probably about 4,500 actually. So they ran these estimates for us. I'm just going to go ahead and make a motion and then we can discuss it. I'm going to make a motion that the town board authorizes the supervisor to enter into a contract with Nexamp for community solar production for the 8 accounts listed. And I can get these 8 accounts to Kate.
Okay.
As presented.
Second.
I got a second. Don't we have discussion?
I
Question?
have a question.
Yes.
Palentown Schoolhouse fits where into this schedule?
It does not. because it does not use enough electricity during the year to qualify.
Okay,
Palentown Schoolhouse and the other account, the 10th account that we have an account that is on a pump, a water pump, somewhere that goes off once or twice a year, maybe. And otherwise, we pay the basic charge of $31.50 a month for that.
okay.
So we sent him all our accounts. He ran those numbers and got these back to me yesterday, last night, actually.
What's the length of the contract?
Good question. And let me go down into the verbiage here. The
25
location of where we will be enrolled is Westerlo, New York, so everybody knows.
Looked like 25 years, go back.
Well, it's probably a month to month, just like
Hold on.
length of agreement, pay as you go, up to 25 years.
Right.
Pay as you go. It's the same as the community solar agreements that our residents have. It is a month to month. You can opt out at any time without any penalties. If you need to cancel your subscription, you may do so at any time following the guidelines under early termination. You may terminate your subscription with no penalty, but providing Nexamp at least 3 months
3
prior
months.
written notice.
Right.
Nexamp may terminate your subscription for failure to make timely payment or other violations under the contract. So as I said, it's not a huge amount, but we will save $2,600 on our electric bill a year. Our electric bill is approximately 20,000. Actually, it's about 25,000. So we're saving 10% is what they're estimating.
2,500, 2,600.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be good for us to be on solar. But I do think it'd probably be good if we could like schedule, if there was some way for us to check and just verify in 6 months or a year that we're actually saving money.
Yep. I will tell you the same thing I tell people is who are on the community solar is that 10% is an average over the course of a year.
Right.
Right now, they're not seeing a 10% savings because they're several months behind. The credits that they're getting right now or last month in April were for the electric usage in February. It's about 2 months behind. In December, January, February, obviously shorter days. Sun is not as high in the sky. You're not producing as much electricity. So I think you've got to give it a full year to really see the return.
And I think this is a good case of best value, where even if it's a little more expensive, it's a better value.
Well, it's not costing us anything. There's no cost to us at all. And we don't have to do anything except pay a second bill. We're going to get a rebate essentially, or a credit on our Central Hudson bill each month. And then we're going to get a bill from Nexamp that we'll pay in our vouchers, just like we pay the electric bill. And we'll pay that.
You're just gonna have to do the comparison to see that you've come out ahead each month.
Yeah, well, we will come out because the credit is offsetting your usage. So your Nexamp is never going to bill us more than we've used. That's never going to happen.
No, I get that. But
Yeah, so we're always going to, and I feel much more comfortable dealing with a company that we have an ongoing relationship with than a company that we have no idea.
exactly.
What I've learned in exploring some of these other companies is they sell credits. They don't have an entity. All they are is a computer and a desk. And they're selling credits against somebody else's electric. This is a facility that Nexamp is physically operating. And I just think it's it may not be the best deal we can get, but it's certainly the safer of the two.
Better the demon you know than the demon you don't know, kind of thing.
Not a bad analogy, although I don't know if I'd want to call Nexamp.
No, that wasn't a great choice of.
And I will say, if there's a
descriptive, but-
problem or a question, the vice president's cell phone number is on my speed dial, and I can pick it up and call him and get him at any moment.
Exactly.
And he answers on the third ring.
Well, I think it'd be great for us to be on solar. I think that's great.
It also shows we're backing them in another way by putting town accounts with them.
Exactly. I mean, we couldn't do our own for various reasons,
Mhm.
but we'll have to find out where this solar is and go do a field trip to our solar panels.
To see where we get ours from, huh? Okay.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll call the vote.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. I'm gonna go through this next one kind of fast in the interest of time, but you'll remember we talked about, we had an offer from American Tower to either buy out or extend our lease from the the two towers that we have a lease on. I did have pretty lengthy conversation with Brian Drapkin, who you remember was doing some investigation himself about this. I alerted him to the new offer that they gave us, which was considerably better than. Sorry, I got to go through all these agreements on the solar to get to the next one here. There's like 5 pages per agreement, and there's 8 agreements. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen though, because I don't know that we want to put the conditions of a offer up on the computer screen. So
Mhm.
you'll remember we had 3 offers. One was to extend the lease for another 30 years, 6 5-year agreements for a flat rate payment per tower. Another one was a lump sum payment that we could spread out either over 10 annual payments or 120 monthly payments, but it would be in lieu of the percentage that we're getting. And the third was an outright buyout of our contract. Our current contract, I went back and looked. It is for 30 years. It was for 6 5-year agreements. It was signed in 2007. So we still have another 17 years of our current contract. Next year in 2021, at some point, and I'd have to go back and figure out exactly what month they went into operation. The contracts were signed in June and July of 2007. I don't remember how soon after that it went into effect. I'm guessing a couple months later. So toward the end of next year, we go from 40% to 45% rent of their revenue that they generate from their rentals of the antennas on their towers. We currently receive in the neighborhood of $5,000 to $6,000 per tower per month. Total is out to about $130,000 a year. Brian did run a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet that assumed a 3% increase in revenue each year. That may or may not be accurate, but that's you have to have some pretense of examination. Did I email that spreadsheet to everybody today? I don't remember. I think I did. I may not have sent it to you, Kate, but I think I sent it to all the board members.
Thought.
We don't have to, if not, I'll re-email it tomorrow. I tweaked it a little bit to put in where the leases started and stopped and ended. So you could look in comparison to the dollar value. I kind of agree with Brian that right now the best option is to do nothing. I will say, you know, they first contacted us last summer and we did nothing. And then they came back with a proposal. And then very soon after of my saying, yeah, we haven't gotten to it. We haven't gotten to it. We suddenly had a much better proposal. I'm not sure that that may not happen again. The other thing is we could come up with a counter offer. We could say, you know, we want 60% of your revenue or 75% of your revenue. I mean, I'm just making up numbers. I don't think they're ever going to go for 75%. But They're offering a pretty substantial amount, but we have to look at long-term. We take that amount, we either have to have something that we have definitely planned to do with that money, that we need that money right now, because it's revenue we're gonna lose for the next 17 years and moving forward. However, there's no guarantee that technology is not gonna change and the rental prices may go down. Who knows? There's always that risk. A lot of things to consider. I have yet to figure out what the hook is. Clearly, there's a reason they are offering this. Brian suggests I try to Google search and find any other municipality in the country who rents land to a tower company and start calling and seeing if we can brainstorm and come up with an answer. So,
Or Mike, since we have 2 towers, we could do 2 different things if we chose.
we could. Each
Take a lump.
one is a separate, that is
Ackroyd.
correct. Each one
If-
is a separate offer. It's not
If
a,
we needed a lump sum to do something, we could do it that way and then still stick with the whatever 40 years they've offered. There's-
now the lump sum that they're offering just to extend the contract for 30 years, that's kind of the least
Yeah.
concerning, because we're going to get a lump sum of money when we do that. What we're doing is then we're going to be locked in at that 45% for the next 30 next 46 years,
40, yeah.
with no hope of going higher. But we're still going to continue to get 45% of their revenue. So if they're making more money, we're going to make more money.
Right.
It's not going to change it, and we're going to be sitting with the lump sum, which is not anything to sneeze at. It was a decent amount of money. It was not a lot of money, a huge amount, but it was a decent amount of money.
And what about this bonus figure? I don't understand
That
what
was
that's
the
about.
original offer. All that
Yeah.
went away with the second offer. So
Yeah, yeah,
I gave you that other offer
Yeah,
just
I
so you
have
could
that.
see the
Yeah.
comparison of how they changed.
yeah.
So
I
the
got
new
that.
offer is the one of the 3 scenarios that I laid out. Either we take a lump sum payment and extend the contract for 30 more years from its current end date at the same conditions,
Mhm.
or we take either 10 years or 120 months of
Right.
payments, and they buy us out of the contract. I'm suspecting that we get those payments in lieu of the rental for those 10 years. I don't think we get both.
I don't think they're gonna do that.
And then the third option is just an outright buyout. We take the money now and they take over control of the tower or the land that the tower is on. And we
What's
no
the
longer-
value of the land too? We need to know that.
Well, we still will own the land. We're not,
Oh,
it's,
okay.
it's just a lease of the land, but the lease will go from what it is now to 0. We'll still be the landowner of the land. They're still gonna just be leasing it from us.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think I'm gonna have to run. It's my nephew's birthday and they're waiting for me.
Understood. Do you have any opinion on that, Chris?
I like your strategy.
Okay.
Like if another municipality is dealing with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move forward with that. Thank you, Chris.
And let me know if you want me to come by and sign that document, and if anything comes up you'd like me to know about.
Yep. The other items are real quick, just informational, and I can catch up with you in an email. Thank you very much. My apologies. We went a little longer than usual. So,
Great meeting. Thanks, everybody.
yep. So Kate, if
Hi,
you could
Chris.
just have Chris out
Hi,
at
Chris.
9:04 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip the IT equipment proposal. I was trying to get it done. It's not in a publishable state yet. I want to do it right. Now that we have the best value policy, I will get it together. I may ask you for a special meeting to talk about it between now and our next meeting.
And actually, Mike, if you're gonna be putting in best value into the IT, it's not,
I can't do
best
it
value
till
is not
it's
effective
filed
until it's
anyway.
filed with the Secretary of State. So
Exactly.
you don't want
So-
to do that tonight anyway.
Fair enough. But I don't want to wait another month, so I will pursue that. Safety inspections, I sort of covered this with the summer camps. I wanted to let you know, though, I've had a number of questions from people about what summer camps, how they pertain to this. there are 3 in the town of Rochester that are overnight stay camps that we do. The Board of Health does the camp permit for operation. The code enforcement officer does a safety and fire inspection, and they jointly, they usually go together and do their inspection at the same time, and the permits are issued. Many of you know I've been lobbying hard to the governor's office and have published letters in the paper about this. I quite frankly don't see how a summer camp can operate, a sleepover summer camp, and social distance. I just don't think it's physically possible. That being said, no decisions have been made yet. I suspect they're still waiting to see where things go. In talking to the county executive's office, there have been no requests for permits yet for any of those summer camps. I will say a letter was written to the health department from one of the individuals from one of the camps, one of the principal people, trying to state a policy of how they would be able to social distance, and it was shared with our code enforcement officer, who shared it with the attorney and I. I will email you that copy of that letter so you can see it. It's just that at this point, it was just a letter to them. It was not or to fill a request for anything. No permits have been issued from the county or us, and none will be until we know what's going on. So I just want to get that out there. There's
What
a lot-
are our 3 overnight camps, Mike?
The 3 that we have are Camp Ravtov, the one on Granite Road,
And
and the other one is on Millhook Road. It is not a camp per se. It is rented out on a week-to-week basis to different groups, primarily to boys groups. But it's not operated by the owner of the property. He leases it out to various groups throughout the summer. And Mary Lou, I know you were going to follow up with Jerry on that, and we probably shouldn't talk about that in the meeting, but you can tell me later if you were able to follow up with him. or
We have
not.
followed up.
Okay. You can tell me the results at another time. So that's where that stands. As far as other safety inspections, Jerry is empowered by the governor's office to enforce social distancing rules and any of the pause rules if he comes across them. He can either enforce them or he can notify other appropriate authorities, and he continues to do that. And that's really about all I have to say. Construction is, contrary to what some people think, construction is allowed. However, under those guidelines that we talked about before, people who are on the site, if it's deemed essential construction, and they have to maintain social distance and follow the proper COVID precautions. Otherwise, it's not allowed. General homeowners, though, can continue any construction that they might be doing themselves with no problem. It's not, there was a mistake or a misunderstanding of an executive order that spread around that all construction was stopped, and that's not.
Yeah, what happened on that is, what happens on a lot of these executive orders is the governor will put out an executive order, which is kind of broad, and then different departments have to come up with the rules for that. So on the construction, they made the rules pretty quickly, but then there were other rules that were amended, but they didn't go onto their website for a week. So there were rules that people would call them and they'd say, yep, you're okay, but we didn't know because they didn't let us, they didn't let the municipalities know.
Right.
So it made for a week with lots of confusion.
And Jerry got some pretty clear guidance from New York State, from the Code Enforcement Division on that. So he's following all that. Moving on to the RRA contract, just a heads up reminder in case you didn't know or you might have forgotten. Our contract with the RRA for our picking up and taking our recycling and our refuse, our residential refuse, expires the end of this year. We got an email the other day, friendly email reminding us of that. And Tim Rose, who is the head of that agency, said he will be meeting with the town supervisors. My guess is he will try to attend a town supervisors association meeting once they resume. By the way, if anybody ever feels free that they want to go to an 8:30 Tuesday, third Tuesday of the month meeting with me, you're welcome. Although right now we're not meeting in person, we're meeting by phone. But once they resume, if you want to go to Kingston with me on 8:30 on a Tuesday morning, it's at the Olympic Diner. Breakfast is on each person individually, but we meet for a couple hours and just talk about similar issues, similar concerns, similar problems. And about 2/3 of the supervisors show up, and sometimes additional board members come. So constabulary report, I'm going to turn it over to Mary Lou real quick on that.
Okay, when I had my attorney's meeting with you, after that, we discussed a lot of different things. Mike sent everybody gobs, I think that's a legal word, gobs of information out. I don't know if everybody's had time to review that yet, but I'd like to ask you to review that. So maybe next week we can do a follow-up attorneys meeting. And then hopefully by next month, we'll have some ideas of what, if anything, you want to change in the program. Have you all read it all?
Oh, sure. Every sentence.
Every last
Oh.
bit. There's a lot, but
If-
sometimes when there's a lot, we kind of go, who, but if you can take some chunks of time and get through it, maybe late next week we could meet.
Yeah, I like a deadline.
Exactly. Okay. Mike, do you want to put out a Google meeting?
Yeah, why don't I do that? Do you want to give it a couple weeks? What are people thinking?
It is a lot. If you need 2 weeks, that's okay too. But I'd just like to do it far enough in advance of your next regular board meeting.
Okay, why don't we give it a couple weeks and then I'll send out a Google, some possibilities for 2 weeks from this week, next week, and we can try to find a day, evening, nighttime, whatever works better for people. Plan a couple hours, but if in the meantime, you can start looking at the report. There were a number of questions asked in the report of, the policy says this, and
Yes.
his reaction was we were doing X and the policy said Y. And it's a matter of clarifying which we think we should be doing. And I think we just need to have a general conversation about the report in general. For the public, I do want to say the constables are praised in the report for the job that they do. There are a number of accolades in there. We just need to look at it and kind of figure out where we can fix it and make it better. And that's really what we're looking to do. We're not looking to get rid of it. We're not looking to make significant change to it. We're just trying to look to tweak it and how we can better serve. I think this Minnewaska detail is an example of how the constables can really help the town. So enough conversation on that. Anybody have any board members? Jeff, by the way, I'm sorry, I see you're still on. You can feel free to drop off whenever you want. We're done.
But there's nothing to do now, so.
Yeah.
Mike, I have something, and
Okay.
thanks for the segue from the constables. I have a letter from Constable Anthony Matola. He would like to set up a Storytime web read for the kids. I have his letter here in front of me, so I'm going to read it. I would like to set up a public service story time for kids during this COVID crisis, and if possible, to do this as a pre-recorded or live stream event or events. The idea is to have officers within the department read children's books while in uniform to show the townspeople we are here for them and show the kids that there are other things that they can do other than just
We could
the
easily
law.
we could easily do that through the town's YouTube channel that we're broadcasting on right now. We could just, all we'd have to do is be broadcasting. It would go out live, but it would be there for immortalized for time. Of anybody could go watch it again and again if they wanted to. So it's certainly doable.
Do we need a
Board wanna-
motion or a
Board want to do a
resolution?
motion to authorize the supervisor to initiate this, and I can deal with the details. I don't believe it's going to cost the town any money. There's no cost for our YouTube. We're paying a basic charge, for a monthly charge for pretty much unlimited use. We'll never utilize the amount of use that we're getting for the basic charge we're doing. So,
Are
I'll
you,
make,
are you talking about YouTube, Mike?
yeah,
Yes.
I think well, I think just, it might be good to, instead of doing a live stream, have them record it. And then it can be put, that way it can,
we can.
Just be up on.
Yeah, Aaron, you and I can work on the details of it. Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to tell the officers how. I mean, like if they're doing the Three Little Pigs and he wants to be the big bad wolf, he may want to put a little drama in it and,
Oh,
a
yeah,
little
no, that's
something.
fine. That's fine. I think
Pre-recording
what
might
Aaron's
be
saying is
better.
just not put it out live, just
Yeah.
record it and then put it on YouTube. And Aaron, you and I, because you set up the YouTube channel, you and I can talk about the details of how to post something on the YouTube channel.
it's really easy.
Yeah.
Is it good? Because I think they really want to do something. They want to do something more fun and put themselves out there for the kids a little.
That's a sweet idea.
This is from Anthony Matola.
Yeah. B, I'm assuming you're going to make the motion?
I will make the motion that we said,
Do I
yes.
have a second for that motion to
set up
allow the
to-
supervisor and councilwoman and now and to
Set up
arrange
so that the
arrange
constables
this to
can do a
be,
story time video.
on the town YouTube site.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Thanks, Adam.
Any discussion or concerns? And it'll be pre-recorded, Aaron, as you said.
Yeah.
And put up on there then.
And we could open it up to other departments too.
Okay, I
Exactly.
think these guys wanted to do this because they like what they're doing and they want to promote themselves to be not the guys issuing tickets, but that they can read a book too and sit down with your kids and give them someone to look at in uniform. I mean, back in the day, like 1,050 years ago, Mr. Gilman did this with us in school. He would walk across the street to the elementary school in Kerhonkson, and he would be there and he would sit down, and as we were kids in kindergarten, maybe he'd read to us. This wasn't my idea, by the way, but this came in at a perfect time. And he would do that, and it was just, we respected him, but we could also see a different side of him. That's what I took away.
Okay, I'll call the question. Kate?
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt has
Am I
left,
muted? Aye.
No, we got you, B. You're there.
and Councilman
Oh, okay,
Haddock
thanks.
Aye.
and Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, is there anything else?
Do you want me to notify Officer Matola and then you would get in touch with him as well as to how to
You
set?
can notify him that we
It's gonna be set
approved
up.
it and we'll Aaron and I'll figure out the logistics of how to do it and I'll get in
Yeah.
touch with him.
I'm not the techie here.
Yeah, no, and I'll go through Rich and see, because I'm sure
Okay.
some of the other constables may want to as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of dying to see Mark Smith reading the kid's story.
I gotta tell you, I think he'd be good. I really do. I really do.
Oh, I think he will be too. That was not meant as sarcastic as
Yeah.
it came out. So
These guys
Um,
have a soft underside. Don't kid yourself when it comes to kids.
with that being said, and I know we're at a late hour. I'm asking the permission of the board to allow me, and if you want, we can adjourn the meeting, and then I can play this. A little background: Butch Denner, who is a New Paltz resident, is a large advocate for Organ Donor Month every year he comes to the legislature in April and does a presentation that if you have any compassion or heart or soul, you're usually brought to tears during it. And because he couldn't do it this April, they did a video of him doing it in May at the legislature meeting. I was on the legislature meeting and watched it and saw what he did. And really, I asked his permission to share it with you guys, and he granted it to me. Technologically, it's a little challenging. I have to go to the Facebook page of the legislature and play it from there. So if the board wants, it's about 8 minutes. If the board wants, I'm fine if we make the motion to adjourn. And then I will go ahead and play it. If you want to stay and watch, great. If not, I'm going to do it it'll be broadcast on the YouTube channel at the end of our meeting so the public can see it. And then, so I'll leave it to the board how you want to handle that. But does anybody have a preference one way or the other?
Should we adjourn the meeting? I don't know.
We can adjourn the meeting and play it. It's fine. I didn't want to feel like I was forcing anybody to stay, but I know it's 9:30 already almost, and we've been at it for close to 3 hours. But it's important. I think I'd like to show it. So if you want to stay around, or we can adjourn the meeting and then I can just play it, the video. Why don't we just do that? And that way, if
Okay.
anybody feels the need to drop off. So I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn. A little bit of unusualness. I would like to adjourn in the memory of all those suffering worldwide from the COVID-19 virus, and particularly these 3 people who did not pass from COVID. I want to be clear on that. But John Cross, Jeremiah Flaherty, and Kathy Schoonmaker, 3 of our residents who have passed since in the last month. Again, not from COVID, but still very long time dedicated members of the community who will be very, very missed. So I'd ask for a motion that we adjourn in their memory.
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second on that?
Thank you.
Okay, so we are officially adjourned. I'm going to go ahead and play the video. As I said, please feel free to drop off if you'd like. If you want to stay on, go ahead. Hopefully I can figure out how to do this. Okay.
Mike, the sound's not coming through.
Not coming through?
No.
Yeah.
Mike, I mean, the link is there. Do you just want to let people see the link and go on themselves onto the,
Yeah, I may have to
Legislators.
do that. I'm not sure why. I thought the sound would broadcast because I'm screen sharing, but apparently not. I will say the legislative clerk had the same problem initially, but then got it resolved, and I'm not quite sure how. So I will do that. I'm going to post the link, and we will let people look at this themselves. For the board members, I will email you the link. As I said, I've seen Butch do it maybe 5 or 6 times now in my many trips to the legislature, probably more than that, probably, I get 10 out of the 13. I bet I've been there, and he usually brings another survivor with him to also talk, and it's very moving, and it's as simple as when you renew your driver's license, signing up for organ donor, and that's all it is. So just wanted to try to advocate for it. So I will do that. I'm going to stop the share, and
All right, and I will catch up with you tomorrow on
great.
the safety stuff that we were talking about.
Yeah. And apologies on that there's no sound. I thought I had it figured out, but apparently I didn't. So with
You're
that,
doing great, Mike.
thank you, everybody.
Night,
Little more
everybody.
technological challenge. I maybe bit off a little more than I could chew with two different PDF pages going, but I think I got it figured out now. So
It was good.
thank you. Aaron, I'm going to give you a real quick call to talk. Oh, never mind. We already talked about tomorrow. You can't do the mails tomorrow.
Right, no, yeah.
Understood. Got it. Thank
Okay.
you. Have a good night.
Night.